Hello. This is a story called Orange Haven. Here it goes. Orange Haven. This is it. This is the moment. Let's go to Orange Haven. But where is and what is this Orange Haven, you might ask? Well, Orange Haven is a place I've been to, and I can only question if anyone else has ever been there besides myself. Well, anyone at all. Now, I am not bragging for being ever in such a world as Orange Haven. That is to brag about being the only person who's ever been there at all. Instead, I am only here when it comes to a literature such as this type thing to fill you in on what this other world of a place is. First, let me explain to you in a description form type thingy what Orange Haven is like, at least the introduction of what it is like. I was an 11-year-old in 6th grade when I first went to and experienced this wonderful world. It was on a Friday night, getting ready to enjoy the weekend off from school, when at around 5:45, going on its way to evening time, I flipped on the television. I just remember that some basic orange juice commercial was on whatever channel the cable box had been left on, all in between whatever program was on at the moment. As I was sitting there kind of in a basic whatever there is to do right now, seeing that no friends were hanging out at the present time state, I glanced out the living room windows and noticed it was a very pleasant late September evening on that memorable and fateful date. I was just sitting there when it began, the beginning of my first being sucked into that world, the world of Orange Haven. Again, I was just sitting there with the TV sort of just humming in the room, me not paying attention to it, when I then got sucked into this other dimension that Orange Haven is. I found myself out in a big open field of land with a huge concert festival-sized amount of people, maybe not quite as big as Woodstock, yet not far from it. Underneath a beautiful evening sky, all of these people around me seemed to be having such a good time. It was like everyone was living this event with a serene yet slightly wild as well euphoric upbeat burst of an it really is okay and all good enthusiasm. That first night of experiencing Orange Haven, I was only in the open crowd of shiny, fresh-faced people out there at the big fields this first time, and across from us, there were huge speakers within the most happening sound system I'd ever heard. What I experienced then was to hear the best music I'd ever heard come from those giant speakers and such, complete with the most phenomenal bass boost sound. It was as if spirits, or angelic spirits at that, were working together to form this music with the most granular chemistry I'd ever heard in any band ever. Before all of this otherworldly concert, I was hearing and noticed, as I was feeling as well, mind you, the rhythm and sound of a chattering-like and tribal rhythm that sounded like the beginning of what will and did turn out to be the most epic evening, and in which would go further into the night concert ever and to ever be again. At least this is how it always was and will be to me. After the rhythmic intro, the music of more structured songs type quality, the concert ran on, leaving me and the rest of the giant crowd in quite the hog heaven. After about 43 or so minutes into the concert, I felt myself at a peak point, as if to be in the middle of this live show performance. This to me was like I had gone from the beginning of the experience then to that of the rising action to the top of the hill point. Lost in this moment, I just began to shake my head like as if to say, this is just ridiculous. Never before and or ever again will anything top this. Though I was at this hilltop and felt how the concert would only roll down the slope to the climax from this point on, I was ready and thrilled with an excitement I never felt before for the rest of this glorious ride. As the following action rolled, with many flashes of brilliance after born original brilliance, which had lasted about from the peak point on another hour and 25 minutes, the journey of this live show of spiritual presences was so grand. The music, more recently in this night's performance, stopped at 2 intervals for a brief bit, like that of a band doing encores. Around 4 more live performances of distinctly different tunes. The crowd was screaming enthusiastically as this heavenly band stopped once again. Then, before too long, lights came on around the giant sound system. I was struck in awe. The show was over, but it had been in and was almost totally perfect. Where, as if nothing is perfect, it was so flawlessly close that I say, screw it. It was freaking perfect then. Say it that way then. After some silence which hung around the lit up sound system, for a brief short bit, one last track played through the speakers. The tune that came through sounded more like a CD being played as opposed to a live band, which had been the same case with the tribal chattering rhythmic intro to the show I mentioned earlier. The aftermath song that this was sounded like a wonderfully catchy soul tune, like that of a late 1940s or early 1950s all-girl vocal group. After this great phenomenon of an Odyssey of a Night's experience, I saw the image of a shadowy silhouette of a man's form floating a little ways above the giant sound system. And I knew it, I felt it at this moment, felt the whole audience, as this whole audience felt and knew this moment as well, they felt the same thing. This was the lead vocalist frontman and phenomenal musician which had invisibly led the band of angels. As the catchy soul tune was at the coda, the shadowy silhouette did a quick, cool, shaky twitch of a dance before walking away and up to Orange Haven sky.